Pleasant good day, good morning, good afternoon, good night from wherever you're joining in with us. Today we are very pleased to have you for this very life-changing event, Self-Love Story. Here at GPA, we are really looking to shift a mindset change to encourage individuals now that we can consider in the year 2020, the year 2021, we experience a lot. Personally, professionally, many of our lives were changed. Many of our plans, goals, aspirations, all of those things we really have to rethink and give consideration to. Well, how do we now move forward? How do we ensure that we can encourage and experience career fulfillment at the same time strike that balance with our work life and our personal goals and aspirations? So this event I really consider it a life-changing event. I'm very excited to introduce many of the speakers who will share with you some tips, tricks, advice on how you can seek in this year 2022 to propel your life into success and to also encourage that level of fulfillment in aspiring and to achieve your goals that, of course, you would have set out to achieve for this year. So, like I mentioned initially, GPA is really looking to shift a mindset. Uh, in the new modern capitalist society, we've been encouraged to work, work a 9 5. We've been encouraged to use every bit of our time to grind out results and to become more industrious. And for some people, that has become very stressful. For some people, they've not found a way to maintain that work and life balance. And to a great extent, there's a need for individual professionals to assist individuals, young professionals, business leaders alike, to find that work life balance, to find that sweet spot, to ensure that they can propel, they can go into life with a sense of fulfillment and appreciation for what life is. I myself have had an experience going through the last 2 years where you'd have set out to achieve certain things. And along the way, seeing how, the entire face of business and human interaction would have changed, it would have driven me to consider different things and to try out, you know, different strategies, different tasks to just maintain that personal and that mental well-being. And today's event is similar to that. And this is why I'm so excited to share with you some of what our speakers will bring to the table this afternoon. One of the other things I wanted to share as GPA, we want to use this event as a launching pad for the year 2022. There's a lot that we would like to share with you in relation to personal development, leadership, career development, health and well-being, uh, professional development that we would like to find opportunities to connect throughout the year. And this is a start to this work. So I want to encourage you to spend time during this event. You should have a notepad next to you, a pen, so that you could take down notes as we go along. Use every opportunity to connect and to understand and appreciate the content that will be brought across. Because, like I said earlier, this is an event where we really want you to experience that shift in your life. We want you to experience a new way of thinking. And as you go out through this year, we're hoping that, of course, with many of the speakers, you could also connect with these speakers throughout the year so that they can continue to provide that guidance and mentorship that is so vital for success in the year 2022. So without any further delay, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to Ms. Jennifer Pascal, who will deliver the welcoming remarks. Ms. Jennifer Pascal, Managing Director of GPA Inc.
Well, hello, and welcome everyone to Écouter, a self-love story, where we will be speaking on all things self-love. Like Ajani said, this year, 2022, for GPA Inc. is a year for clarity, authority, as we prepare you to walk with your head held high and with a powerhouse presence. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone who decided to join us here today. Extending a warm welcome to our guest speakers and our amazing host who generously helped to make this virtual event possible. As we know, February, this is the month of love. This is the month where we celebrate each other, the month where we love on each other, the month where we embrace each other, the month where we show up and we show out for each other. And I thought going into 2022, we do all these wonderful and amazing things for each other, right? Do we ever take time to step back and do the same for us? What happens when, because it's a hustle, it's a bustle, everyone is moving in a different direction, everybody has something going on in their life. What happen? What happens in those quiet moments? What happens when maybe you're looking for Vanessa or Jani or Andrew or Kurt and or Celia, and nobody is to be found. And it's not like they're spitefully neglecting you. It's just that everybody is going through something in life, and there comes a point in time where you have to be able to turn to yourself to find that peace within yourself, that to be able to find or to be able to tap into your holistic well-being, like I continue to see. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions here. I know it's the welcome remarks and it's a bit different today. So do you ever stop to consider the way you speak to yourself, the way you see yourself, how you treat yourself, how you are really showing up for yourself? Maybe if you stop and think about these questions and you answer them, then you will be able to realize a lot more about how you were treating and how you were showing up for yourself. And I said this to say, last year, May, when we hosted our On the Frontline event, showcasing our frontliners from across the Caribbean who joined in to share their stories about what they were experiencing and still are experiencing today. I know a few of them are joining us here today, and it's not like I'm going to call you out. It's just that I really wanted them. We continued the conversations. I knew a few people were calling to say, Janita, I really feel down today, and I really don't know how I'm going to process today, with the pandemic especially. And I had to keep telling them, please take 5. Just take 5 minutes. Pull away. Cry if you have to. Get a cup of coffee. After work or maybe on your lunch hour, go for a cup of ice cream. Do something. Get a massage. And it was almost as if I was asking them to resign from their jobs. And this is when I realized that this must be a national conversation. I can't keep this conversation between my frontliners and I say my frontliners because I love and cherish them and adore them for the work that they're doing in community. I couldn't keep this conversation, just between our circle. I had to create this event to ensure that we make this a national discourse. And I know that I'm saying take 5, and it's almost as if, oh, just take 5 and get a cup of coffee. I know that it is hard. I know that, sometimes you just can't find the time, or you make that excuse telling yourself, you know what, I just can't find the time. But I always question, if you ask Vanessa to come to do something for you, and Vanessa said, I'm busy, we hold Vanessa accountable because Vanessa is busy and Vanessa can't show up. So why are we not holding our own self accountable for not being able to be present for ourselves, right? And I commend our speakers for taking the time out to come to speak to you today. I know I have my pen and my paper in hand, and I'm waiting to take my notes. So I just hope that you are able to tap into those nuggets of inspiration and take something home with you today. And from today, I'm asking you to take 5. Take 5 minutes to recite those words of affirmations, engaging in positive self-talk. Take 5 minutes to enjoy the silence of your own company. This one, I'm telling you, please take 5. For so many years, I tried being an octopus, thinking that I was a superhuman, trying to do it all on my own. And when my world began to cave in on me, that is when I understood of the importance of asking for help, stepping back, taking 5 minutes for myself, and having people to step in and help me. So I'm asking you to take 5, right? And this event doesn't stop here. From today, the post should have gone out already. We are going to be sharing with you bonus information addressing a range of topics as it relates to self-love, speaking about putting yourself first, embracing the skin you're in, addressing the way you talk to yourself, what you say to yourself, how you say it to yourself, and how it makes you feel. And all of this information will be on here on our social media platforms for free, absolutely free. And we ask that you tap in and integrate those best practices into your life. Let me tell you guys, things will begin to shift when you set out on that journey practicing self love. Own your story, accept who you are, forgive yourself, and Celia will speak to that today. Forgive yourself for the things you cannot change. Feel and look the part. I know Vanessa has a power packed presentation for you. Step into your powerhouse presence and love on yourself. Again, welcome and thank you for joining us here. And I hope that you leave with a few nuggets of inspiration. Enjoy.
So, guys, you heard it all from Ms. Pascal. She shared a lot of tips for us going into this session, some things that you should be mindful of. I know we all have these times where we feel like, superhumans. We always think sometimes that we can do more than we are physically capable of. And this is an event, this is a self love story. This is where we want you to recognize that, notwithstanding, all that you would like to achieve, notwithstanding all that you would like to see yourself become, it's okay to take a pause, take five, a cup of coffee, meditation, read a book, find some way within your daily life, within the tasks that you are seeking to deliver on a daily basis. During your week, put a day aside, ensure that you could take time back to feed yourself, to give yourself that energy, that vibe, that level of push, and that ability to go into your day with the energy and with the passion to get your work completed and to live a very fulfilling and enjoyable life. So it is also my pleasure at this point in time to introduce our first speaker, Ms. Celia Mitchell. Celia has significant experience helping others transform their lives and create success by preparing them to set realistic goals and accomplish any dream they desire. She created the radical goal chasing formula, which focuses on helping women, set goals and chase them. Celia realized that many women feel stuck and trapped in their circumstances and have given up on themselves. Many of them have stopped dreaming for a better life because they do not know generally how to go from where they are to have a more fulfilling experience. The secret formula has been in the making for the past 20 years or so. It has also allowed individuals to experience an awakening to the possibility of a better reality as they receive practical and strategic guidance on setting goals and creating a clear path towards achieving each one. So during Celia's presentation, she will touch on leveraging me and how to identify your values and chase goals that matter to you, setting goals that are smart, saying no to goal shaming, reframing your mind and achieving that goal, being resilient, achieving that goal, and considering that being resilient will ultimately change your life. And chasing your goals will also be an opportunity for you to get closer to the goals that you would like to achieve. So, guys, this is the presentation we've all been waiting for, one of the four that we will bring to you this afternoon. We're going to just pull out some time at the end of this presentation, just about a minute or two, to share your thoughts and see how our speakers can provide some responses to some of the questions that you may have today. So without further delay, over to you, Celia.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much, G.P.A. Inc., for having me on this afternoon and allowing me to share this gift with everyone who is listening in St. Lucia, in the region, and around the world. Welcome. I pray that my presentation this afternoon will inspire you and will help you to realize that indeed, if you cannot forgive yourself, then you will be unable to chase after those goals that you set for your lives. So let me just get right into the presentation. Oh, before I do, let me give a shout out to my mom because she's usually listening and following, my greatest cheerleader. Hi, Mom. And also to two of my students who I said I would shout out. Hi, Kia, and hi, Caleb. Okay, so that's out of the way. Let us dive into the presentation for this afternoon. Okay, so permit me to just share the PowerPoint presentation with you. And, all right. This afternoon, we're going to be talking about being ready to forgive and release. I'm ready to forgive and release. And this afternoon, we're touching on the art of self-forgiveness. The art of self-forgiveness. Have you ever made a mistake? Anybody listening has ever made a mistake? If you've made a mistake, can you just type yes in the chat? A mistake. Well, let me tell you, you are not alone. You are not alone. If you've ever made a mistake in your life, you are not alone. Making mistakes is an inevitable part of life. And in as much as we would like to avoid them, the reality is that making mistakes is an inevitable part of life. Dahlia, I see you. Yes, we all make mistakes. Yes, Kenton, we all make mistakes all the time. Ask Thomas Edison. He knows a few things about making mistakes, right? And what about Oprah Winfrey? I mean, we grew up watching Oprah Winfrey. I grew up watching her, and she has admitted to making mistakes. What about Sir Richard Branson? Has he ever made a mistake? Maybe we should ask him. What about Mark Zuckerberg? The creator of Facebook, now Meta, of course. He would tell you that he has made a few mistakes in his lifetime as well. Now, I could spend the afternoon telling you about those folks that I do not know personally, but I'd like to introduce you to someone else. And this individual has made mistakes, probably making mistakes right now in her presentation, and will continue to make mistakes. This afternoon, I would like to introduce you to myself as I tell you about a few mistakes that I have made in my lifetime. It was just about 2 weeks ago. We were at school because right now I still teach. I teach at one of the best schools on the island, that's Sufre Comprehensive, and I am a mathematics teacher. Now, you know how mathematics teachers usually, well, they're supposed to know everything when it comes to math. That is the perception out there. And so it is not, well, it is unpardonable for a mathematical mistake in calculations. Well, just 2 weeks ago, we were having just a conversation amongst ourselves as teachers. And then something came up where we needed to do some calculations. And guess what? I made the calculations and I was wrong. I made a mistake. If you want to hear what happened at the end of that part of my life, then stay tuned and you will learn some more. But I have made mistakes. I will continue to make mistakes, and I'm probably making some right now. Making mistakes is indeed an inevitable part of our lives. What about you? Have you ever made a mistake? Place your name there. Can you remember any of the times that you've made mistakes? And the example that I gave was a simple one, but still it is one that holds persons back. It is an example that a lot of folks cannot let go of, that if they got something wrong or if they did something wrong, it's challenging for them to even forgive themselves for the little things, much less those huge things that we consider really, really bad. Well, the goals of this presentation this afternoon is for us to define forgiveness. If we're going to be ready to forgive and release, we need to know what forgiveness is. Then afterwards, we're going to discover the reasons why focusing on our mistakes, on your mistakes, is self-sabotaging. And then you're going to appreciate the need to forgive yourself and to positively transform your outlook on life. And then we're going to be equipped with 5 steps that you can take to forgive and release yourself to continue the journey of working on your goals. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is often defined as a deliberate decision to let go of feelings of anger, resentment, and retribution towards someone who you believe has wronged you. And that definition I found very fitting for this afternoon's presentation because it encapsulates everything that forgiveness is about. A deliberate decision, letting go of feelings of anger, resentment, retribution towards someone who you believe has wronged you. And that comes from Kendra Cherry from verywellmind.com. But what happens? That definition talks about when others have wronged you. But what happens when the person is yourself? How then do you approach that forgiveness? You know, we beat up ourselves so much for a lot of things that we do. We beat up ourselves for not getting the answer right, especially in math, like I told you about my own experience just 2 weeks ago, right? We beat up ourselves for messing up on our lines, for not saying the right things, not saying the right things in our relationships, not saying the right things in our presentations, not showing up as our best selves sometimes, forgetting to do something during the day. And I know that sometimes as moms, women, when we forget to do something a day, we can beat up ourselves so much for that. We can beat up ourselves for not doing what we're supposed to do at work, not showing up as our best selves at work. We remember all of those mistakes that we made and we beat up ourselves, disappointing our family members and making the same mistake over and over again. We can really beat up ourselves, so much so that if ourselves were an entity outside of us, it probably need hospitalization from all the beatings that it has been given. Now, let me tell you that focusing on your mistakes is self-sabotaging. And it's self-sabotaging because it brings back negative feelings. Every time you think about what it is that you did, the negative feelings come back. Then it keeps you stuck in the past. It keeps you stuck in the past and prevents you from thinking of solutions on how you can be better. And a friend of mine, well, actually, my coach shared this last night on Facebook, and I thought this was very fitting for today's presentation because although this artist beautifully portrayed what guilt looks like and what guilt can do to us in terms of dragging us down and keeping us behind, what happens to us when we don't forgive ourselves is the very same thing. That guilt that we feel, that those negative emotions that we experience every time we think about the situation, I think this beautifully illustrates what it is when we do not forgive ourselves, when we do not release the hurt that we think we have caused ourselves. But there is hope. This afternoon, I am happy to tell you that there is hope. You don't have to remain in the vicious cycle of not forgiving yourself. You can decide to make a different choice when you face your failures, when you face your mistakes, when you face your shortcomings. You can choose to forgive yourself and release. So let's talk about 5 steps to self-forgiveness. And these 5 steps I have used in my own life. And I will pause here to tell you that the first time that I experienced self-forgiveness was because I was chasing after a goal as a child. When I was 10 years old, my father died and we were thrust into a situation of poverty. And having heard my mom crying, I went to her that night while she was sobbing her heart out. And as she told us that she really had nothing with which to send us to school, I told her, it's okay, I will go. I will go. And so the journey went on with us, her children going to school, sometimes without breakfast and lunch, and no guarantee of dinner when we returned. So that happened from about end of Form 1 up until Form 5. But when I got to Form 4, that was the first time that I experienced failure. You see, I got a mathematics exam, and during that, the results of the mathematics exam was not what I expected. And because of that, I gave myself a mental beat up on the way home. I just couldn't believe that I had I dropped the ball, that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to in terms of carrying out the action plan for my goal. I was supposed to be doing well all the time in my mind, or so I thought. And as I went home that afternoon, And one of the first things that happened is that I met my mom on the bridge. I guess God knew that I needed her at that time. And as she looked at me, she asked me, "What's the matter?" And so I poured out the story to her and told her how I had failed the exam and how I was feeling so down and so forth. She said nothing. She just took the bag that I had on my back and we walked quietly home. The next morning, she gave me a poem entitled Don't Quit. And that was the beginning of my reframing my mind. That was the beginning of my forgiving myself and releasing myself so that I could go on to achieve the goal of helping us to get out of poverty by securing a foundational education, a secondary school education. So I want to share these 5 steps with you. Now, obviously, throughout the past, it has been 22 years since I left school. So that happened about 23 years. So I have had time to refine these steps, and I want to share them with you. At the end, of course, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? A lot of the steps that I will speak with you about have been refined through my readings and through my research and also through my own experiences. So I hope that they will help you too as you seek to forgive yourself for even the little things that happen to you or the little things that you do. So the first step number 1, recognize and appreciate your humanness. You are a human being. And to err, we're told, is human. To forgive, divine. To err is human, to forgive, divine. None of us in this life is perfect. We have made mistakes. We're probably now making mistakes in our lives, and we will continue to make mistakes. Recognizing and appreciating the limitations of our humanity will help us to forgive ourselves. That quote was taken from Alexander Pope's poem, An Essay on Criticism. Remember this always. Remember this always. You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. You are allowed to be both a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. So yes, you are human, and yes, you will make mistakes, but in the present, you have everything that you need to be able to just show up and be present and be your best self in the moment. Understand that you are a work in progress, yes, but you are also a masterpiece. I love to remind women, and I love to remind everyone, my students and everyone that I meet when we have these kinds of conversations, that there never has been a you. There isn't anybody like you there isn't another you right now on planet Earth, and there never ever will be another you. So you are a masterpiece, uniquely created, but you are also a work in progress. And so appreciating your humanness is one of the first steps to forgiving yourself and releasing. Number 2 is accepting responsibility when you make a mistake. The thing about it is, like Desmond Tutu tells us, in order to truly forgive oneself, one must either explicitly or implicitly acknowledge that one's behavior was wrong and accept responsibility or blame for such behavior. You cannot move on. You cannot truly forgive yourself if you do not accept responsibility for your part in whatever it is. And so for me, recognizing that perhaps I did not do as much work as I needed to so that I would not fail in my exam, I needed to recognize what my responsibility was in my failure. And so you did it. You did it, recognizing or taking ownership of it, taking responsibility for it says, I did it. You did it, or you did not do it. I didn't do it. It happened. The thing happened, and there's nothing I can do to change it. No amount of wishing that it were different or making excuses as to why it happened will change it. It is sealed in the past, and I accept responsibility. It frees me now to take that next step. And what is that next step? Next step is identifying the triggers that would send you down the path of self-loathing. So I was talking about my story just 2 weeks ago. Just 2 weeks ago, I had that experience where, in the calculations, I got it wrong. Now, myself a few years ago would have given myself a mental beat up about it. But you know what? I didn't. I saw the trigger that I was about to do that to myself. And then you will understand what I did in a little while. So because I have become very aware of those things that remind me of the way that I hate myself, or I loathe myself because of things that I've done that are not acceptable, or things that I've done that are not the best at the moment. I am able now to do the step number 4. But it is important that you identify those triggers. And for every single one of us, it is different. Perhaps it is something that somebody says. Perhaps it is something that, a deja vu experience that you have. Perhaps it is something that you hear. Perhaps it is a feeling, a scent, something that reminds you of that mistake that you made and starts you down that path of self-loathing. And you know what happens? You know what happens when we go down that path of self-loathing. Of course, depression follows a lot of the time, and feelings of guilt and remorse and feeling stuck and unable to move on. That is what ensues. So what are the stimuli that remind you of the mistakes that you made? What are they? Let me tell you, be friends with those stimuli and let them know, yeah, you're here because you have done step number 2 and you've accepted responsibility. Then you can say, like I said, yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. I miscalculated. I was wrong. And so no excuses, no saying, oh, maybe it was, I didn't have enough time, or no excuses. I was wrong, punto final. So what are the stimuli that remind you of the mistakes you've made? I just want to remind you that just because you are reminded of the mistake does not mean you have to relive it. And this is the reason why you are not that same person. That person who did the mistake a few years ago is not that same person today. That person who made that mistake this morning is not that same person here at 4:40 p.m. Because you see, time will move no matter what. Time does not stop for us. And our lives will continue, because our lives really is the amount of time that we're given. So as time passes, so does our life. And you are not the same person. Recognizing and appreciating your humanness, taking responsibility for what you have done or what you didn't do, and then recognizing those triggers that remind you of what you've done are just the first 3 steps towards forgiving and releasing. And know that you are able to create a new life. You are able to, because you are not that same person. Choose a growth mindset. Choose a growth mindset. You see, a fixed mindset says, I give up easily, but a growth mindset says, I will try again. A fixed mindset says, this is hard, I'm not doing this. A growth mindset says, it's challenging, let me see how I can find a way. A fixed mindset says, I should have got that right. Why did I get it wrong? A growth mindset says, I got it wrong. Let me see why, so that I will not repeat the same mistake again. That does not mean, though, that you will not make another mistake, but you are willing to look at the mistake that you've made objectively and choose that you're going to grow from it, that you're going to learn the nuggets of truth, the nuggets of what it is that it is trying to teach you, so that you can move on with your life. Viktor Frankl, an Austrian neurologist and psychologist, a Holocaust survivor, he says, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And that is one of my favorite quotes, because it reminds me of the power of my will and the power of choice. He says, in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Between stimulus and response, between remembering all of the things, or getting those triggers that remind you of all the mistakes that you've made, and then responding by going into yourself and hating yourself and feeling depressed. And there is a space. There is a time where you can choose to go either left or right. Own that space and recognize that you have that power to say, I choose a growth mindset. I choose to learn from my mistake, and I choose to move on. I choose to understand that I cannot change the past, but what I can change is the future. I understand that whatever has happened in the past has happened, it is sealed, but what is going to happen in the future depends on the choice that I make right now. And so, own that space. I searched on the internet to try to find out where that quote came from, but it is a quote that I think I got from my days of watching movies, and I think it was Jackie Chan who said that in one of his movies, but it does not show up on the internet who exactly said it, so it's not original. But I think it is a Chinese proverb, and Jackie Chan was the one who said that in one of his movies. The frog cannot jump onto the front lily while focusing on the back lily. The frog cannot jump onto the front lily while focusing on the back lily. And so, recognizing that you have a choice, you have a choice. You can either choose to focus on the back lily, or you can choose to jump ahead. Really, in the present moment, the choice you make will determine whether or not you forgive yourself, release yourself, and move on to achieving your goals, or whether you remain stuck. And step number 4 is, excuse me, something that I thought too was original, and something that we were talking about. I was talking about with my friend, Mr. Jonathan Edmond. And I remember telling him that one of the things that I do is that I bend my thoughts. And that happened 2 weeks ago when we were having that conversation. I got it wrong, and it was and the self beat up was already coming. I could already see the thoughts coming. Oh, you're a math teacher. You're supposed to know that. How could you get that wrong? The thoughts were already coming, and then I bent it. I bent the thoughts, and I refused to allow it to find a lodgment in my brain and to mess me up and to prevent me from being the best version of myself at that moment. I reminded myself that I was human, and that I will make mistakes. And this is not the first time, and it would definitely not be the last time that I would be making a calculation error, a calculation mistake. And so I thought it was original, but the idea of thought bending has been there for a while. And I have to research even more on how others see thought bending. But for me, it is deliberately forcing myself to think differently about the situation. And that ability, I understood it when, especially as I spent time in scripture, because my worldview is one of Christianity. I am a Christian. And so spend time in the scripture. I understand that when God says, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. And so I can just imagine the thoughts coming into my mind at that time and wanting to find lodgment. And then I physically force it out by replacing it with the truths of God's word. I remind myself that if I confess my sins, He is faithful and just and will forgive my sins. Those things that I've done that have not pleased Him, that have not pleased others, that have not pleased myself, I can confess them and know that I have been forgiven. And I can do that because I understand that I know the plans that He has for me are good plans, plans to prosper me and not to harm me, plans to give me hope and a future. And I understand that even in the mistakes that I have made, He can produce a miracle, even in the mistakes that I have made. And so because of that, thought bending comes easily to me as I replace those negative thoughts with the promises in God's word. Self-forgiveness is sometimes harder than forgiving someone outside of ourselves. However, we cannot go chasing after goals for our future if we are presently chained to our mistakes of the past. We cannot go chasing after our goals for the future if we are presently chained to our mistakes of the past. So are you ready? Are you ready to forgive yourself and release? Are you ready to say, I am human. I recognize and I appreciate my humanness. I am human. Are you ready to accept responsibility for the mistakes that you've made? Are you ready to always accept responsibility when you make a mistake? Are you ready to identify the triggers that set you down that path of self-loathing and threaten to keep you there, refusing to move on? Are you ready? Are you ready to choose? Are you ready to choose a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset? And are you ready to bend your thoughts? Are you ready to bend your thoughts? I can tell you that if you follow these 5 steps, then definitely you will be ready to forgive yourself and release. And it is only as you do that for yourself, because we cannot give to others what we do not have for ourselves. It is only as you are ready to do that for yourself that you will be ready to forgive others. And that in itself is a whole topic that we need to talk about, perhaps in another presentation. But you can't give to others what you do not have for yourself. And so, are you ready to forgive and release? Remember, if you've forgotten anything from this presentation, failure is not final. Your mistakes do not define you. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You have the power to forgive yourself. You have the power of choice and continue on to go after your goals. So chase those goals and change your life. Forgive yourself and release. I thank you so much for listening. And I suppose we will take the question at the end. Thank you.
Wow, what a start to our event today. I'm truly blown away, Celia, by your presentation. I must say thank you so much for reminding us that it is not about the mistakes that it's not about the mistakes that we make every now and then, but it's about finding a way to bounce back from those mistakes. Honestly, guys, this is this is a free event. This is an event where you have the opportunity to really just take in information and to be transformed, to feel a newness of mind from those gems that are being shared here. So, Sylvia, some of the things I really appreciated from your presentation, particularly, you noted this quote that you are allowed to be a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. So powerful. Accepting responsibility as one of your steps to self forgiveness, identifying triggers that lead to self loathing. You shared so much, and I could go on, how much your presentation really, hit me in a very special way. And I'm sure many of the listeners and the followers today would have received a lot of guidance from what you would have shared with us just a short while ago. So thank you so much for your fantastic presentation. And I'm seeing some of what is being shared in the chat. Very inspiring presentation. So your work and your words have definitely touched lives today. So we are going to switch it up a bit. So this was a presentation on forgiveness and releasing, finding a way to bounce back from mistakes and to find a way to forgive ourselves. We are going to look at fashion and style. And this is truly a self love story. And we're going to look at the self love language. And to deliver this self love language is a young professional who will speak on the importance of image, appearance, and how one can carry themselves, how to communicate, and how to take time out to groom and love yourself. Miss Vanessa Henry Long is also known as Lovely and is a mother of 2 amazing boys. She's a devoted wife, an entrepreneur, a volunteer, and a businesswoman. Mrs. Henry Long is a certified image consultant with a Fashion Style Institute, a certified personal stylist with honors from Ashworth College, and a summa cum laude bachelor's degree of the Monroe College in Hospitality and Tourism Management. Vanessa is passionate about the business of style, image management, hospitality, sales, and marketing. Mrs. Henry Long is also a retail store manager with the Free St. Lucia and the owner of her sole proprietorship business, Lovely Makeup Artistry and Image Consultancy. Vanessa focuses on helping her clients obtain opportunities through confidence building sessions and creating their most authentic self by taking their appearance, behavior, and communication to the next level. Over to you, Ms. Henry Long.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here this afternoon. Thank you, Ajani, so much. And yes, Celia had a very powerful opening presentation. So to follow this, we are going to step it up a bit and leveling it up with your appearance. I do have a presentation that I am going to share as well. Permit me to do so. So, yes, we're heading into it with fashion and style, a self love story. And what are the expectations today? You will learn how to style, of course, and fashion yourself, and how it can be used as an expression of self love. How to have a deep understanding and appreciation for your body, your personality, your style, and your lifestyle. I didn't want to make it too full to compact for you to blow your minds off, but I just want to give you just enough to help you get started to create a style and a fashion that, of course, will help you express yourself and your self love through that. So, one of the questions that I have, or two of the questions that I have for you today, are you manifesting self love through your current style and fashion choices? Did you know that your clothing is a direct reflection of what you are manifesting? So take a look into your closet, guys, today. Look at your wardrobe and tell me, are those clothing pieces, the items that you buy in the stores, are they a reflection of the individual that you want persons to know who you really are? Are they really telling a story of who you are becoming, who you are currently? What exactly are your clothing pieces saying about you? And this, guys, I want you to take time, think about it. Look at your current wardrobe and tell me if it is telling a story of who you are becoming or who you are presently. Or is it stuck in the past? Like, I'm not sure if you currently know there are some persons, when you look at the closet, they maybe have never shopped in God knows how long, and they have some outfits that are what we call outdated or have lasted the test of time, yes, but maybe should be given away or maybe just be thrown out. When you look at your closet, what is it saying? Is it showing that you love yourself? Are those clothing pieces shouting love, or are they shouting something else like lust or greed? Or what is it they are saying? So, this is the question that I have for you today. As we go through this presentation, I want you to think about your clothing choices, not just your clothes, but also the way you present yourself to the world. What is it saying about you? Like I said, your clothing is a direct reflection of what you are manifesting. So most people may hear the two terms, style and fashion, and maybe a bit lost or confused as to what the two stands for. Let me break it down a little for you. The word style is usually the shorthand form for personal style, or the way an individual expresses themselves through aesthetic choices such as their clothing, their accessories, their hair, and the way they put an outfit together. Generally, what we call their personality style, or in shortened form, we also say personal style. Whereas when you look at fashion, on the other hand, fashion deals with a more collective or a more holistic term as it relates to global trends and design elements at a particular period in time. So when you think of the two terminologies, they're pretty much in the same family, but they are totally different. So you would sometimes hear of some popular quotes like from Coco Chanel herself, where you hear style would never fade away. You would hear many persons would say that, and they would tell you fashion fades and style is eternal. You would hear Rachel Zoe say style is a way to say who you are without having to speak. Other popular people like Karl Lagerfeld would sometimes say trendy is the last stage before tacky. And there are some other quotes which again boils into style from Christiana Balenciaga saying elegance is elimination. And as you may go through style quotes online, you will have various types of quotes which will bring back to you that your style is all about you. The way you dress, the way you carry yourself has a lot to do with the way you perceive yourself. And that is very important as it relates to self love. So let's start off by talking about our bodies. In order for you to understand how to manifest that self love through your clothing choices, you need to have an understanding of your body. As you can see on the presentation, I have a number of ladies here, 5 ladies who have various different body shapes. And just now, you would notice that I will put for the men. We have the rectangular shaped lady, the triangular shaped lady, the hourglass, the inverted triangle, the round. I'm not sure if some of you who are watching can identify, and you can put in the chat if you can identify what body type you think you have. For the rectangular lady, this is the individual who may not have specific curves in the sense where she does not have a defined waistline, but she has more of a square type looking body. Most athletic individuals have that body shape. Then we have the triangular lady who is a little more curvy to the bottom and small to the top. Then we move over to the hourglass lady, or what we call the Coca Cola bottle shape in our way of speaking type lady. Then you have the inverted triangle, which is the individual who is large to the top and very small to the bottom. Following the last type of body type, which is the round individual who's normally very voluptuous, especially around the abdomen area. Now, looking at the various body types, you may be wondering, what does that have to do with self love? You would be surprised. It has a lot to do with self love and your clothing choices. Somebody says, that's me. I can't really see the comments because I have the PowerPoint presentation very widely open, but you can feel free. Yes, Osami says, Dora says, the round, that's me. I don't think you're around, but okay. Yes. So the various body types have a lot to do, guys, with you embracing who you really are and what your body type is. It is not about comparing and saying, oh, I want to be an hourglass or I want to be a triangle shaped lady. It is really about looking at yourself, understanding which body type you have and how to dress now for that body type. A lot of the times we do think that because we are round, that means we may have to wear outfits that are very wide, that will not really showcase our round shape. Or we may have to wear outfits that are very tight fitting because we want to be small. So we figure I'm a large or extra large, but I want to be a small. So I figure, you know what? I am going to buy a medium sized shirt or medium sized skirt, even if you are around who is extra large. No, what you are really doing, you are creating that perception in your mind that, hey, I want to be a small, but yet still I'm an extra large. Let me dress as if I'm a small. And the image that you are sending out there, whereas in your mind, you're thinking you're doing something good, you are really and truly creating a negative image of yourself because you are not dressing in accordance to highlight or to showcase or to embrace your body shape. And this is why it is important as you learn to love yourself and to express your love for self through your clothing choices. It is important that you embrace your body shape and understand your body shape. A lot of persons are dressing in a manner where in their mind they are thinking they're doing good and they're looking good. But one of the things that they fail to realize is that they are creating a story in their head which is not the reality. So we need to go down to basics. We need to start with the basics by understanding which body shape you have. And that goes for men as well, not just for women, but it also goes for men as well. So our bodies are beautiful. So we first and foremost need to say that to ourselves. Look at our naked self in the mirror and say to your pear shape, say to your round shape, say to your rectangular, your inverted triangle, or your pear or triangle shape. Say to that shape, I am beautiful. My body is beautiful, and I think we should be celebrating them by being comfortable in our skin, no matter what age you are, no matter how much pounds that you have, it is important to love and embrace your body shape. But it first and foremost starts off with knowing your shape and understanding your body, and then, of course, dressing the part for it. For example, let's look at Sofia Vergara. She has what we call an hourglass body shape, which, of course, many persons would maybe die for that shape. But it doesn't mean that because you may be another shape type that you cannot dress in a manner to bring out that self love through your clothing choices. Let's look at this other model here. She as well has an hourglass body shape, but she's dressed differently in a manner where she showcases a bit less skin, a bit more skin than Sofia Vergara, but of course, she is dressing in a way to showcase her body shape. Then you have this young lady here. You maybe know her. She's very popular. Yes, she's Steve Harvey's daughter, Laurie. And of course, she has this bomb, what we call, maybe the men may look at it as a bomb shape. And maybe some other persons may be looking and be like, I don't really feel her body shape. But at the end of the day, it is not for you to look at an individual and say, hmm, I want to be like her, or you want to be like them. But no, it's about you now embracing your own body shape and loving and dressing in accordance to that. Let's look at Oprah Winfrey, for instance. She has a round shape and she is dressing for her body shape. What she's doing is wearing outfits that would flatter her curves. And this is one of the things that we now need to take note of. It doesn't matter how big or how small we are, one of the key things is to dress comfortably, to flatter your body curves, and to ensure that whatever message that you're sending out there, you're sending out a message of positivity. You're sending out a message that you care for your body. You're sending out a message that your clothing choices are not just in a way where you got up and you just decided to just throw something on you, but you're taking time and attention with the way that you are dressing. Another picture of Oprah. And we can see here where again, she's very heavy on the top, very heavy on the bottom, but she is wearing her outfits to showcase class, to showcase elegance. And here's her in a casual way. I showed about 3 photos of Oprah just because I want to show. Sometimes we focus a lot on these individuals who have what we call the Coca-Cola bottle shape or those amazing model type shape. But we as individuals who maybe are more on the plus size, sometimes we feel like, I need to head to the gym, I need to lose that body fat, I need to ensure that, I am dressing in a way where I look like a model. No, if you were not a size 2, I don't expect you to be a size 2 only if you go on this extreme weight loss program. What you need to do is embrace your size 8, embrace your size 12, whatever the size you are, and dress in a way, of course, that would help you bring out the story you would want to tell. Here, for instance, we have this journalist, this African journalist who is a pear shape. And let me tell you, she's rocking her pear shape. One of the ways to dress for such body type is to ensure that, again, you accentuate your curves by outlining the parts that you do not want people to pay attention to. So if you are heavy on the bottom, like this individual, and you have what I call a pear shape, the emphasis should be on the top. What you do, you wear necklines that are extrinsic and different. Like the neckline she's currently wearing is one that has a bit more detail. You wear statement pieces, you wear lighter colors to the top and darker colors to the bottom. When you do this, the attention now will come straight to the top. And again, with this lady, you see the extra padding to her sleeves. What she's doing is bringing the attention to the top. And when you do have a shape like this individual, which is a pear type shape, this is the way that you should basically be dressing. When you are a rectangular, I think I saw somebody who put that they're a rectangular shape individual. When you are someone who has a rectangular shape, sometimes you feel, wow, they say I want to be an hourglass. Well, guess what? You're not an hourglass, but you can create the illusion of being an hourglass. So here's one of the ways you can do it by accentuating your waistline with wraparound dresses and even belts, and also using the technique of color blocking. So here we have an individual on the screen who has a purple blouse or shirt and a pants, which is somewhat like a greenish mintish color. What she is doing by wearing an accent or accessories with her outfit to distract the individual looking to see, hey, they'll be looking at her neckline. They'll be maybe even looking at the top rather than focusing on the fact that she does not have a defined waistline. The wraparound dresses is another way that individuals who have a rectangular shape can dress. And even for men as well, looking at the various shapes for men, we would see as well that it is important to know how to dress to accentuate your body, to showcase your body in a positive way as compared to showcasing your body in a negative light. Let's look at this individual, also a rectangular shaped lady. However, the way she is dressed, very casual, very comfortable, using again what we call bootcut pants, which are perfect for any body shape, and of course, a blouse or comfortable blouse to not really showcase that rectangular body type. This individual, though petite, when you look at her, I've chose this type of outfit mainly to explain for an individual who has a body type that is inverted. Many persons who have an inverted body type, meaning that their top is large and their bottom is small, for some strange reason, I have no clue as to why it is they like skinny pants. But one of the things we need to understand when we do have such body shapes, whether for men or for women, is to be mindful and to stay away from tight fitting clothing, especially to the bottom, because what it's going to do, it's going to draw attention to that area. And I'm not saying that you do not want attention drawn to you, but you do not want the wrong type of attention to be drawn to you. So the focus would be, of course, to wear anything that would be fit and flay, maybe tighter fitting to the top and the bottom a little loose, because what it does now, it will prevent persons from looking at your bottom area, which is already small, and create that illusion of balance and harmony in your clothing choices. So think of that, guys, when dressing, especially if you do have, I stressed on those three body shapes: the triangle, the rectangle, and of course the inverted triangle, because these are the body shapes that tend to have a bit more difficulty when it comes to dressing in a manner to showcase a more flattering body curve. And let's look at the men, for instance. Just like the women, I've placed on the screen here because I know they have some guys in the chat who can see what I'm talking about. Even with the guys, it's a bit simpler for the guys as compared to the ladies, because really and truly the clothing choices for men, though their shirts and bottom, but you still have to dress in a manner that tells a story. So, despite the fact that it may be a rectangle or an inverted triangle or a or not pear shape, sorry, but a round shape for men, it's so important to ensure that when you are wearing your bottoms and your blazers, that they fit well, that they showcase a man of power. You want to showcase that you are someone of authority. You want to tell a story that speaks to you taking pride in your appearance. And one of the things that I found, especially for the guys, is that when it comes to dressing, sometimes we focus so much on the outfit and we forget about the grooming aspect. And when I speak of the grooming, I talk about your hair, your beard, your the perfume maybe that you would wear, the deodorant that you would place on, or maybe that extra that extra hair that you would have not just on your face but on under your arm and even on your decolletage on your chest. It is so important that you take pride in the manner in which that you dress, because it really tells a story of who you are. Let's look at these five men, for instance. When we look at man number one, he looks very much relaxed, just like man number two. But when we go into man number three, man number four, and five, you could tell that their dressing speaks to a bit more serious. I'm not asking you to wear coat and tie if you are working in a restaurant where you are serving tables, but I am asking you to take more pride in your appearance and the way you are dressing, especially as it relates to your everyday movement and the story that you are looking to tell. So, what really is your signature look? And do you have a signature look? Can anyone tell me in the chat if they do have a signature? Is there an outfit that you look at and you can say, "Ha, that looks like me," or "This shirt looks like me," or "That pants look like me"? This is how you are able to identify if you have a signature look. Having a signature look is important because what it does, it tells a story or gives a memory of yourself, of how you want others to see you, that memory you would like to have in the minds of many. In fact, it establishes a lasting impression on you. It is mastering your personal style to the point that tells a story of who you are. For example, I have a signature style. My style is one that is, I call it a classic dramatic, because again it speaks to my personality. And again, how much of your personality that you showcase in your style. When you look at your clothing choices and outfits that are in your wardrobe, what are they really saying about your personality? What type of personality do you have? Are you charming? Are you dependable? Are you optimistic? Are you humble? Are you respectful? Are you discreet? Are you soft? Are you romantic? Are you on the edgy side? Are you classic? Who are you? And what are you saying when it comes to dressing? Are you dressing for your personality? Are you even dressing for your lifestyle? What are you saying when you are dressing? If you are a soft type person, you may most likely be within the range because there are various personality styles. You have the classic type woman, the natural type woman, just like for men. You have the romantic individual, you have the creative, and of course, you have this individual who's a bit more on the edgy, dramatic side. Just by these simple definitions, you can maybe identify which style goes for every individual. And yes, you got it right. The first two ladies, the first one is a natural, the second and the third, there are classics. The fourth is a romantic, the fifth is a creative, and the sixth, she's an edgy or dramatic. Now it doesn't mean you have to stick within those personality styles, but it depends on the individual that you are. Your style will be brought through automatically based on your personality. If you're an individual who may be a bit more serious, more classic, you will find that your style will be range between a classic and a natural. If you are someone who likes to have what I call a presence and be creative and tends to do a little more with their dressing, you may be a creative in your style. Or maybe if you are an individual who is more on the edgy side, who likes to have an appearance, they like to create that dramatic entrance and like to be the center of attention, you might just well be a dramatic or an edgy person, which is the individual here dressed in the red suit. Yes, the man who's dressed in the red suit. So depending on your personality, your style will be linked directly to it. But one of the things you can be assured to when it comes to dressing for your personality, once you are authentically you, once you understand who you are, you will be most comfortable when it comes to picking out clothing choices. When you go into these stores or when you go into any boutique to purchase an outfit, understanding your style will make it very easy for you to dress and very easy for you to shop as well. So, what are your clothing choices telling or saying about you? Is it saying that you're looking for attention? Is it saying that you're a classic woman? Is it saying that you're someone who pays attention to the little details? What exactly are you saying when you're dressing? Your style should say who you are without having to speak. Remember, it's about embracing your body and, of course, understanding your body type, understanding what drives you. There are moments to dress in an intimate way, and that should be for the bedroom or indoors. And of course, there are times where you would want to bring out, that luxurious outfit, that glam girl or that fab guy, or, there are moments for that. But I think what's important as we look at self love and discovering our style or our style choices, let's not get confused as to intimate dressing, dressing professionally, dressing to create a business mindset, dressing for the business world, or dressing in a casual, more relaxed setting. There's a place for each and every one of those dress styles. It's important that you understand that so that the story now that you'll be telling when you walk those streets, you're telling a story of power, like this guy here. He's telling a story of power. He's telling a story that he's in authority. He's telling a story that he wants to be seen and he wants to be heard. So it's important, guys, as you dress for your day to day lives and you look at your clothing choices, that it reflects one that speaks to your personality, your lifestyle, and who you really want the world to see you are. If you want the world to recognize that you are an individual, one of power, one of authority, one who speaks to understand her true essence, if you want the world to recognize this about you, it is important to invest in good clothing choices. It is important to understand and love who you are. Understand that you are a brand. you are representing that brand called Vanessa, or that brand called Candido, or that brand called Dora, or that brand called Jade. What you show to the world out there is the story that you are giving them. So understand that the story you would like to tell is a story of power, is a story of confidence, is a story of authenticity, is a story of respect. So I want to thank you guys so much for taking time out to enjoy this little fashion tip. On to the next one. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you once again, Vanessa. I must say your presentation did share quite a few gems, uh, give us a perspective on how your dress can really express who you are as an individual, what you represent, your values, your personality. And I noted there is one comment which we can get to shortly, but I just wanted to add, just reminding everyone that this session, well, this particular presentation, a self-love language on dress and the importance of dress is so important just as we figure out as an individual, as a professional, what message are you communicating to clients? What message are you communicating to family members, friends, people within your outer network? And as Vanessa would have shared, there are so many things, very small things that you can do to tweak your appearance to bring off a certain message and to communicate an individual who is confident, an individual who is comfortable within his or her skin. And thank you so much, Vanessa, for your very pointed tips. Very appreciated. So that comment, I'm hoping, Vanessa, you can share some light on that. Someone asked whether your appearance or whether your dress can, to some extent, communicate an alter ego. So maybe you may have another personality, or you may have another lifestyle that dress may be able to reflect. Do you think that's possible? I'm not sure if Vanessa is able to
Yes, I'm
answer
I'm
this
still
one.
there. I'm
So,
still there. Yes, it does. It does happen where you may have a alter ego, like the individuals say. You have a different style to your day to day. For example, you're a businessman, but yet still you have a personality that is one that may be like a rocker guy, and you may have what we call a more dramatic edgy style way of dressing. So it is you bringing out your true essence and your true self. Once it is part of you, and once it is you dressing in a manner that speaks to your personality, it has to speak to your personality, it has to speak to your style. And I see a lot of questions are coming for me, and I know the presentations are not done as yet. I see something about color. I do not want to take too much time because I know we have some more presentations coming on. Okay, so I see a question. Can I answer this one, or should we wait for the at the end of the presentation? Because we do have a moment where we leave at the end of the presentation for questions. But I see someone asking, what about colors? I have realized that I have a lot of black pieces in my wardrobe. And that just means that you are maybe a very classic individual who likes to stick to the neutrals. But one of the things that I can see, as you infuse color into your wardrobe, it adds a bit more life. So you can still have your blacks and your neutrals like whites and beige and grays, but color adds a bit more energy into the wardrobe. But you have to know the right colors to wear. Okay, guys? Because color is one of the things that tells a story as well. Color tells a story about who you are, what you represent. If you are only going to wear black, people may just think that you are gothic. I'm not saying that's the case, but it is important to balance your color and ensure that you bring some life into your wardrobe pieces and your essential ways. So you can mix the black with some color. You can stick to the neutrals, especially if you do not like popping bold colors. Stick to the neutrals to create some life and energy into your wardrobe pieces.
Fantastic, fantastic, and very good job in responding to some of those questions. I also am someone who sways towards using a lot of black, so I wonder what that reflects about a certain type of my personality. And some of what you'd have shared, I'm sure the followers have been, really thinking, how can I dress to reflect the kind of person I am and to communicate, what I would like to become or what I would like to achieve. So thanks once again, Vanessa, for your fantastic presentation. So, guys, I really want to encourage you at this point. We have two more presentations coming up. So far, you've heard about forgiveness and releasing, finding a way to bounce back from mistakes. You just heard about the importance of dress and how we can use dress to communicate who we are. And we have two more presentations. But before I go into those, I want to encourage you to look at the GPA website, which is an extension of this session. So you've heard quite a few gems from the presenters today so far. The website is a portal where you can access even more services. So if you go on there, it's gpainspire.com. You can have a look at the coaching portal where you'll be able to access coaching services from personal health and well-being to leadership and career to professional development services. All of those services are within the GPA coaching portal. You can also access the library, so you can also look at some of the documents, the writing, the resources that are in there. A lot of them, well, every single document in there, every single piece of resource is really geared to propelling you into success and giving you a perspective, a growth mindset, as Celia would have referenced. So have a look, and of course, you can keep in touch with Jennifer and the GPA team as we seek to encourage you to live a more fulfilled life. And at this point, it is my pleasure to welcome our new speaker, our next speaker, who will speak about how we can step into having a powerhouse presence. And Kurt Augustine will share a lot of his own perspective on how you can take your power back, how to prioritize your goals, your dreams, and to ensure that your vision is a reflection of the clarity that you've received and how you can embark on a journey in becoming your own within a space or finding your own space and your corner in this world. So Mr. Kurt Augustine, in his practice, he ensures that all clients can peak performance and become satisfied with their personal and professional position in life. Mr. Augustine amalgamates his experience in innovation, marketing, project management, and technology to develop a very impactful client experience. As one who believes in ensuring the ultimate success and personal growth of everyone he encounters, Mr. Augustine has developed a motivational theory and prides itself on being creative and innovative as clients grow and transform to become the best version of themselves for optimal success. So to present to us on how to take your power back and to develop a powerhouse presence, we have today Mr. Kurt Augustine. I'm not sure, I'm not able to hear you so far. So, Kurt, I think you may have to have a look at the audio settings. So, guys, just bear with us shortly as we seek to rectify this. So as we seek to rectify this minor issue, I want to remind you all that Vanessa will be live on her Instagram. I believe it's later today. so she can share a bit more of a presentation on dressing for success.
Can you guys hear me now? All right, great. Yes, so thank you for having me, Ajani and G.P.A. Inc., Janita. I am very happy to be here to present today. Great, nice, everybody's here now. So my presentation will be on stepping into your powerhouse presence. My name is Kurt Augustine, and for the past 10 years, I've been consistently working towards success and ultimate happiness. That life, I've been consistently working on that. I have met many people. I have taken part in many different career and success paths for this short period. And I am here to share this with you. So, what do we mean by your stepping into your powerhouse presence? What we see is a lot of persons, we have lost that power and that drive for many different reasons in life. And we are tasked with taking back that power, with not losing ourselves, with obtaining balance, with investing in ourselves, with finding the right path to success and maintaining that power. That is very simple, but it's not easy. I am often asked by many people, Kurt, how do you do it? How do you juggle so many things? How did you survive cancer as a child? How did you obtain a high level of education? How did you, take part in a full-time job and run a business and have time for family and build a home and have time to socialize and most importantly, have time to sleep? I will share my secret with you today on this, and this here will really assist you in developing that energy you need, that boost you need to elevate your power to a next level. The technique I use is simple. It's a technique that applies to every aspect of your life, your financial, the financial aspect, the spiritual aspect, your career, every aspect of your life. What I've been using for all of those years is resilience. This is what I have been using to power up. And from my studies, this powers up a lot of other people. So, resilience is defined as the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness, or the ability of a substance or object being able to spring back into shape or elasticity. This is very important because every single day of our life we are faced with adversities. Every day. We cannot control the types of adversities. We cannot predict those adversities as well. Who saw the pandemic coming? I never saw that. I never saw COVID coming. I never thought that we would be having curfews, not being able to travel, and our lives just changed dramatically. When COVID just started, I was a bit down. Persons would have seen I was a bit down because I'm always upbeat. But after that, I said to myself, why? Why should I stay down? I need to do something about it. We need to eat. I need to take care of my family. I need to perform at work so I can keep my job. So after that week of being down, I took a pen and paper and I listed all the possible things that that could be done to help counter the impact of COVID and all what it could do to me and my loved ones and my friends. So I even wrote down purchasing livestock, and I am very serious about that up until today. And I wrote down as well developing different websites to assist other people because I'm a web developer. And all of those things I sat down and I wrote. And what I did is after I wrote a whole long list, I ticked out the ones that really should be of priority and I started planning. And that really assisted me in battling the pandemic and ensuring that I stay afloat, ensuring that everything was okay for me. Still, it was bad. We all suffered through the pandemic, but I still found ways to bend towards getting the benefit from that adversity that we all faced. So this is where resilience comes into play, and this is why you find a lot of persons are not resilient. And I have a statistic here that from Cigna Resilience, it's a company that continuously does research on the resilience of people. And they said more than 60% of populations, all countries all around the world, are not able to recover quickly from challenges or cope with adversity. This means that over half of the world's population face a lot of difficulty with quick recovery. Recovery and quick recovery are two different things. Sometimes persons take 10 years to recover, 20 years, 40 years, and then you realize, oh, I'm very old now. What should I do next? Quick recovery is essential, especially in determining your next step, your next move. You have to be on your toes. You have to be as quick as possible. Why do we think that we have such a high rate of persons not being able to cope with challenges or difficulties in life? I think from my experiences, a lot of us do not take time to manage ourselves, our family, our businesses, our countries, thus making it difficult to find solutions on the spot. It is very important for us to find solutions on the spot. Some businesses could crash, but instead of the directors and the leaders finding new ways to boost sales or to improve their business, they all would just withdraw their investments and go away. And it's just the norm that everybody finds the easiest way to manage their risk. And that is very, very bad for us because managing your risk and ensuring that you're able to recover is very important in every aspect of your life. Success for many is the ability to make money and gain power. I've learned that. But I truly think success is the ability to have a peace of mind. I always tell my friends that. I tell Janita that all the time. I can have millions of dollars and still be depressed, stressed, tired of living, unhealthy. And I can have all the power in the world. We see it all the time. And still we have all of those challenges because we are not resilient people. We do not take time for ourselves, like I say, and I will always say that we do not take time for ourselves. And this is one of the reasons why we lose our way on the way to success. And a lot of the time, persons get challenges and we get obstacles. For example, a death in the family, you lose something very important to you. You may have invested in something and you lost it. You may have planned something out to the T and it doesn't go the way it's supposed to go. And that's where we have a lot of crashes. When persons do not get what they really desire based on their plans or based on events that occur. And that is where resilience is very important. And we have to really take a step back and find a way to be resilient while we attain our success. Very important. The amount of obstacles that I've faced throughout my journey is so much that coming back to the place that really is a place of balance and solid ground is more or less a habit right now, because I am just waiting for the next hurdle that will come my way or the next challenge that will come my way without thinking, hey, well, what am I going to do when it crashes? When you live with resilience within you, you will find the answer. And that is how I've been living a lot of my success life, a lot of my family life, and all of the lives that I've had or I have right now. So a lot of persons want to know how you can identify that your resilience level is a bit poor. I have a few, more or less the top 5 indicators that really shows that probably you may just have a difficulty with resilience. The first one is you are very irritated and you overreact a lot of the time. There are some persons that would scream and shout if someone does something wrong once in 10 years because that person never recovered from something in the past. That person never found a solution for probably a traumatic event or something that happened in the past. And all of that is because of the lack of resilience. Another one, which is very common among a lot of persons, is that we sit and we dwell on the problems. Have you ever gone into a meeting and you notice that all they speak about in the meeting is the problem? They speak about the source of the problem. They speak about who to blame for the problem. And there's barely any conversation about how we're going to solve this wholly. And I've been to many meetings. I've sat at many different boards. I have seen many different persons sit down and just focus on the problem. We have a whole 10, 20-page PowerPoint just focusing on the problem. I'm not saying that we don't have to identify what the problem is, but we can identify the solutions that can definitely take care of the problem instead of the blame game and all of those things. The other one we have is difficulty sleeping. That is very common in many different instances, but it is one of the indicators of poor resilience because you probably have a deadline that you cannot fulfill, you have a presentation to do, you think that you're going to fail, you end up stressed. And because of that, you do not sleep properly. I totally believe and I genuinely believe in sleeping. I think sleeping is very important. If I don't sleep, I'm not fine. I need to get at least 7 hours to be fine. And that is one of the things I believe is very important for you to take your power back, for you to gain that success level. Furthermore, the other one is poor health. a lot of stress due to probably job loss because you were not really resilient. You didn't have anything to fall on, or you didn't have a time to think quickly and make the next move. Persons get headaches, anxiety attacks, difficulty eating, a lot of stress directly impact our physical health. And we have to be mindful of those things as well. Also, substance abuse. We release pain and we hide behind feelings using substances and drugs um, because we are not resilient enough to know when to move on or when to probably get that next step or how to formulate a solution to our problem. A lot of persons in my life speaking to people, I realize they are the only ones who knows really and truly what the true solution to their problem is. You can speak to a lot of persons, they may find ways to identify the problem with you, but really and truly you are the one who knows. So you just need to ensure you sit down and you identify your problem, see what your weaknesses are, and see how you can be a little more resilient, how you can bounce back very quickly so that you can sort out an issue before it becomes disastrous. And I will sit with everybody and I will tell them that is my secret. Also, I will be giving you guys some tips to improve how resilient you can be or how you can be a little more resilient in a nutshell. The first one is to get connected. You need to build strong, positive relationships. And that is very difficult for a lot of people. Relationships, strong, positive relationships can be family, friends, and it's supposed to be two-sided. A lot of times you're a good friend and the person who's your friend is not really a friend. We need to identify that this is not a strong positive relationship. Um, this connection or networking, which is what we all are doing right now, helps in a support system for you because we all need a support system. We all need somebody to ask, is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this where I'm supposed to be? What do you think I should do? And that is important in being resilient. Also, the other one is making everyday meaningful. A lot of persons live life without meaning, and they believe that they will get meaning probably in the next 10 to 20 years based on the goals that they have for themselves. But I firmly believe that you need to find something every single day to make meaningful and to enjoy. For example, probably going to the beach with your family. You can take an hour and just go to the beach, watch the waves crash, um, eat with a friend. So it could be a Sunday, a Saturday, you call out a friend, hey, can we go for a bite? Also, setting your goals, very important to do that daily and doing up schedules to lay out your plans for the next day. You need to put your life in order. You need to ensure that your life is meaningful on a daily basis. It will make you feel better. And that in itself will assist you in being more resilient. The other one is learning from your experience, both your positive experiences and your negative experiences from your past. For your positive, you can always learn to improve, constantly improve on the positive experiences that you have.
Hi, Kurt. Are you able to hear us? Hi, Kurt. Are you able to hear us? Okay. So I figure you would have completed your presentation. Ah, so let's give Kurt a few seconds to rectify that issue, and then we'll be back with you guys. So Kurt, you can give us a little signal once you're back up, so we can switch over to your presentation. No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. What was the last slide that you guys saw? Tips to improve?
Yes, so you could pick up from where you left off.
No problem. Thank you. All right. So I'm hoping you can see my screen. All right, great. Sorry about that, technical difficulties with the online world. It's way better to have those presentations done in an open place where we all can hear each other. But let's continue. So I was on number 3. I will go to number 4 now, which is remain hopeful. This more or less you should have a positive mindset and have that outlook that hey, everything will be okay, because a lot of persons feel there is that constant fear that everybody has that hey, the future will not be bright, or I might not be successful, or I might not attain my goals. It is very important to remain hopeful. Self-care, number 5, very important. We take care of our needs, our feelings, we get active, we try out hobbies, we get good food, we exercise, we pray, we meditate. Self-care is really important. A lot of persons are behind success, they forget about everything else, and then when it's ready to really enjoy the fruits of your labor, you can't, because you never took care of yourself. So self-care is very important. Also, being proactive. You need to know that there are things that we need to ignore. There are things that we do not dwell on. Um, you just need to ensure that you do not continue to dwell on problems or issues of the past. You need to get it done. You need to do it. You have no excuses. And definitely that can help you be a little better at bouncing back and gaining your power back. Very essential. Plow ahead with humility. We often get a bit swell-headed when we taste success, and it's easy to lose our power since you might lose your direction. Greg Kinsey said, no matter how much falls on us, we keep plowing ahead. That's the only way we can keep the roads clear. You need to continue plowing as much as you have to keep gaining that sight for a clear road. Thank you. And I hope you guys got to experience um, something positive with this presentation. I want to thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris, for your presentation on reminding us generally on how we can secure or maintain a powerhouse presence. Your presentation, I think, really hit the nail on the head in speaking about some of the challenges that we face in life as it pertains to just maintaining a certain level of consistency in how we respond to issues that we are faced with, in speaking to how we interact with others, how we manage success. All of those things, I think, if we look at it from a broad standpoint on maintaining that level of fulfillment, they're all critical. And I really appreciate the fact that you would have gone really deep in mentioning some of the indicators, some of the things that we could look out for. I know one of those, as hinted by Celia in a presentation, spoke to triggers. And another way I like to look at it is that whereas you have negative triggers, you have triggers that can pull you down. There are also positive triggers. There are things that you can do on a daily basis that you know will bring you back to that point where you feel, energetic and you feel enthusiastic and you feel really inspired to press on with your day. So thank you so much for delving into that and for providing us with a lot more gems. So we've been collecting so many gems throughout the presentations, and this was our third presentation on securing a powerhouse presence. We're going to go over to our fourth presenter, and this one is an addition. So this is another chapter to our self-love story. Mr. Andrew Isman will speak to his own self-love story. He will speak to why he thought it was necessary to practice self-love on a daily basis, and he will also give us an idea of how that has worked for him and has propelled him throughout his journey as a business person. So Andrew is a digital marketer and creative director at Vision Build Caribbean. With over 10 years of experience in business development, he brings his skills in photography, videography, design, and business writing to create relevant content. His ability to deliver based on creativity and relevance is what makes him great at what he does. He's always willing to contribute to growth and success. His vision takes any business to the next level. To him, it is not just about the business, but it's about adjusting, it's about educating and teaching what he has learned throughout the years with anyone he meets. When he isn't working, having family time or participating in one of his hobbies, he researches new avenues to create more attractive revenue streams and returns for his clients and partners. So, listeners, we have our final presenter for today, Mr. Andrew Isman. He's going to add some more value to what we've heard so far.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that, Ajani. Thank you, GPA, for having me here this afternoon. It's really exciting to be here and share my story of self-love. Um, Putting this presentation together was a bit challenging, I would say, and it required me to dig deep and look at all the ways that I have grown, look at all the mistakes that I have made, and look at all the things that I have done to be in a position where I am today, with making sure that I myself am a priority. Because there are a lot of times we don't do that. We don't make ourselves priority, and we're able to give love to others more freely than we're able to give to ourselves. And one thing I would say is that we do deserve the love that we give to others. So I just wanted to speak a little bit on self love and the principles that I hold dear to me in loving myself more each and every day. So, to start, I want to share a poem by Derek Walcott. It's called Love After Love. And the time will come with elation. You will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at each other's welcome. You say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart. to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, whom you ignored for another who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. I think we have a habit of pouring into romantic love more than we do ourselves. We chase after butterflies and kisses, and I mean, that's easy. There's another person that could reciprocate that, and all the hugs and the good things that we get from someone else, it makes us happy. There is a physical manifestation of love. There is no doubt that we are receiving love. But when it comes to self love, like I have to ask myself, do the hugs I give myself count? How can I love myself effectively and not feel like I'm doing it wrong? I think we've all found it difficult to love ourselves at some point, whether it's because of the thoughts and ideas that we have of ourselves, that time we didn't stand up for ourselves, or just not knowing where to start. The entire human race has questions. And in my personal experience, I've found that love is a discipline. It's not mythical or magical, no matter how many romance novels or fairy tales we read, and it takes real practice to be good at it. One does not fall into love, but rather steps into it by making deliberate decisions. Real love requires courage, requires discipline and consciousness, which is why it readily escapes so many people. So we cannot stand outside of love and understand it. We have to be fully immersed by it. Another thing is that love is risky and it has the potential to generate great pain. I mean, we could even go a step further and say that it's more than a potential for pain, it's a guarantee. Pain is unavoidable if we seek the pinnacle of human emotion and fulfillment. And there is no free lunch. We have to admit that love is risky. Self love is even more difficult because it requires more than just superficial gestures. We need to pull back the layers of self and do the work. And this afternoon, I just want to share three short principles on how we could love ourselves more. The first one is loving your body. Like your physical body has always been your true love. That's what we're born with, that's what we die with. There is not, or there will never be, a more loyal friend or a more intimate partner. What you think, it will feel. What you command, it will do its best to obey. If you do something to harm your body, including obsessive thinking, it will do everything it can to repair itself. Your body works hard to stay healthy and to make your world easier to tolerate. Out of gratitude for its remarkable generosity, you may want to be generous with it as well. You can love your body no matter what. You can put it first in every situation, and listening to the needs of your human body may take practice, but essentially, attention is what it needs most. Loving our bodies unconditionally is natural to us, and we can see that if we observe little children. Babies and toddlers love without shame or without restraint. But over time, children learn to think and to imitate adult behavior. And we start to put limits on love. We forget to love fearlessly. And most disinterestingly, we forget to love ourselves. Being present and being able to identify the body's needs is a lifelong journey. But going back to the basics is what I find always helps us. It may be hard to remember, but when we arrived on earth, we all were babies and loved everything about the body we occupied. We loved what we saw, we loved what we sensed, and as we grew into active children, our bodies took us on a joyride of physical and wonderful sensory experiences. We thrived in paradise, but at some point, we all seem to be banished from that paradise of loving our bodies. We were told many stories as we grew up, and we believed them all. A few stories suggested that something was sinful, something was ugly, or we're supposed to be ashamed about our bodies. Many stories caused us shame. And most of all, most of us, sorry, feel unhappy about some aspect of our body image, whether it's our weight, our shape, our skin, cellulite, nose, hair. I mean, it's all around us that we should have the perfect body or we should look the perfect way. And that's all relative. What drives this is the unconscious belief that we need to be better, we need to be more attractive, we need to do certain things before we can be accepted. But that's a lie. Perfect is subjective, and people's opinions can change, society's opinions can change. So that's where we need to be sure of ourselves and be more loving and accepting of who we are. And that's based on what we choose to focus on. Some people face a dilemma when it comes to accepting themselves as they are. They they want to change some aspect of themselves, but the first step is accepting yourself, and that's one of the most important aspects of self-love. I am who I am, and I love me. This There is peace in this acceptance, and this is where the acceptance paradox comes in. Because once acceptance arrives, whatever you accept begins to change. Self-acceptance usually gives birth to inspired creative change, and it does so from a point of view where I am enough instead of not enough. Our bodies glow when we feel love. They're energized when we feel the truth expressed in actions and words. They perform well when we feed them. They strut when we dress, just as we saw in the earlier presentation. They breathe and they bounce when we let them take them for a stroll, ride a bike, or swim. Maybe we never learned how to love our physical selves, but we can always start. It's never too late. Sometimes we adore our pets even more than we love our own bodies that we inhabit. But by getting to know your body, its limitations, its strengths, we may find we may find ourselves falling in love again. So maybe it's time to look at yourself through the eyes of a lover and love your body more, appreciate it more, what it can do and what you can do with it. The second aspect is to show up for myself. Like, I found myself sometimes being distracted and trying to give more to give myself value. And being able to show up for yourself is important. You have to ask the question religiously: what am I doing for myself? Maybe you've gone long enough without doing anything for yourself while giving a lot of your time, your love, and your care and attention to others. That if you were to be asked, what do you want or what do you need? You think for a second. I think that's many of us. We think and we say nothing really when we're asked what our needs and our wants are. But I bet that it's not that you actually don't want or need anything. It's just that you've gone so long without doing anything for yourself, it becomes quite difficult. It's even alien to think of what you want and what you need. And this is a common symptom of thinking you're not enough. The solution is to really show up for yourself. But it's really true that you couldn't do with some time for yourself. It's really true that you wouldn't like to organize your life more or to focus more on a bit of pursuing your hopes and dreams, or maybe reading books you've enjoyed, maybe starting to play more. All of us want more meaning to our lives. All of us want more sense of purpose and want to get excited about getting out of bed in the morning and starting our day. We would like to have mastery over our finances instead of having too much month left after the end of your money. We'd like to be physically fitter or to improve our diets. And it's hard to think of these things when we think we're not enough, or we're unable to show up for ourselves. When you distract yourself by showing up for others, it's normal to be there for everyone else. It's a well-worn path that we all follow sometimes. Like, I know it, believe me. I'm speaking these words from experience, and I'm a person that always responds with nothing really when asked what I need, when asked what I want. And I actually took pride in not wanting anything. I convinced myself that it was actually a good thing to not want anything, to not show up for myself. But the truth is, I just wasn't used to focusing on what I needed. So I no longer knew what I needed. I forged an identity as a person who was always there for others, of wanting things I needed to be given to me by others instead of just showing up for myself. I attached my self worth to that identity. And the trouble was that I'd forgotten to be kind to myself, to love myself and put myself first. And whenever we feel that we're not enough, there's a good chance we aren't really looking at our genuine selves. We aren't looking at our genuine needs. We're probably ignoring our wants, in fact. So, a major step forward is taking control of your life and ensuring those needs and those wants are met. Once we take control of our environment, our finances, our relationships, our health, and we learn how to say no to the things that aren't good for us, we start to feel better. We start to feel stronger, and we start telling ourselves that we are enough. And the third and final thing that has helped me through this self love journey is being able to forgive myself. Just as the first presentation was speaking about, like we've all made mistakes. All of us have made errors in judgment. All of us have hurt another person badly. At one time or another, all of us have behaved less than admirably. I think it's human nature. And sometimes these actions have painful consequences. And the one thing that we all need is forgiveness. One of the stumbling blocks that gets in the way of self love or compassion for some people is not being able to forgive myself. How can I love myself when I did that? Is a common sentiment. This is where self forgiveness comes in. You're not alone if you have regrets. Everyone has them. Some people have major regrets and some people have minor ones. But the important thing to know is that everyone has them. For your own health and sanity, it's important to be able to move past these blocks. For start, forgiveness, like self compassion, is extremely healthy. When we look at the scientific part of it, research shows that forgiveness of either ourselves or others reduces blood pressure, it widens our arteries for increased blood flow, and improves our heart rate. For someone who has had heart issues, it actually improves coronary function. It improves the immune system. So it's more than just an emotional or mind thing. It also improves your body's functions. People who learn to forgive themselves are less likely to feel depressed, to feel angry, to feel resentful, to feel stressed or anxious, or even to have the need for revenge. On a whole, forgiveness is a very healthy thing. And there's also a common misconception when it comes to forgiving yourself that if I feel resentful for the things I do, if I keep thinking about them, then that means I'm more than sorry. But that mindset is actually what holds you back. We may feel like approaching the world through the worst thing we've done buys us compassion, buys us extra grace, but it doesn't. It actually causes us to enter into relationships with ourselves and with others in a down position. Perhaps more importantly, choosing not to forgive yourself is really choosing to live life less joyfully. We, just like anyone else, deserve our forgiveness and deserve our grace. And this is the only way to move forward. So while it may feel overwhelming and while we cannot rewrite the past, nor can we jump into another person's body for a clean slate. For those who are spiritual or religious, forgiveness and that fresh start could simply come by asking a higher power. But if you're not, and you don't think that's enough, it's important to remember that the only way through is forward. The future awaits you and you deserve a second chance at happiness. Staying stuck in destructive cycles of guilt and resentment won't do much or won't help you accomplish much. Forgiving yourself is your next best move. Self love is a lifetime journey, and one of the pitfalls and dangers is thinking that we probably have attained or we've got somewhere and we start to feel pompous. But humility is always an important teacher, and the willingness to learn and to forgive. So, if one thing I'd like to share and I'd like you to keep on in the forefront of your minds is always remember that the most important relationship you will have in your life is with yourself. Learn to treat yourself with love, respect, and care. Thank you.
That was Mr. Andrew Isman, who really wrapped up today's event with a very thought provoking presentation on self love. And what I really appreciated in all of what Andrew presented was that he more or less took it in the form of poetry. He started off with a Derek Walcott poem, Love After Love, and he really went through step by step, stage by stage, bringing out his own experience, bringing out some of what he would have drawn from these experiences, and sharing with us some of the tips, some of the best advice, the best practices, particularly peeling back the layers of self. That's one thing I pulled back and really investing in doing the work, finding out what are the things that make us who we are, finding out, you know, to a great extent, our identity, some of the things that drive us forward, some of the things that keep us back, um, dropping some of the things that hold us back and picking up to the things that will build us and will continue to add value to us, focusing on the basics, going back to the basics, so important. I think many times we are always focused on the next big thing and we forget some of the basics that keep us together and that keep us present in the moment and appreciating every step of the journey. The other thing I also pointed out from his presentation is that it's important to recognize we can't do it alone. So, you know, a best practice, a best advice is to be able to tap into a higher source, whether it is a mentor, someone who has resources and has a perspective that will help you to receive inspiration and to be encouraged to drive forward, and the spiritual source. Celia would have mentioned also that she also taps into spirituality to give her that perspective and that impetus to drive on. So, Andrew, thank you so much for giving us a renewed sense of self love, focusing on acceptance of self and appreciating every stage of one's journey. That was quite the presentation. So, guys, this has been truly a self love story from chapter one up to this current chapter. We've heard from Ms. Pascal, who would have shared with us that it's okay to take it's okay to take 5 minutes out of your day, a day out of your week to really point to self and to appreciate where you are at and to just, you know, feel where you are at the present moment and appreciate the journey as you move on. Celia Mitchell would have shared with us some of the tips, some of the perspectives to which we can more or less forgive and accept some of our mistakes, because truly perfection is not achievable. So it makes sense. It's really important for us to embrace the mistakes that we make and use the mistakes as a building point, a building block to develop a greater sense of self and to build self confidence and to drive on. We also heard from Vanessa, who would have given us a perspective, a broader idea of how self can be communicated to dress, how we can dress for success, how we can use dress to really build our self confidence, and some of the small tips to which we can tweak our appearance to then communicate clearly who we are and what we represent. Chris focused a lot on resilience, building through challenging times, recognizing that there will always be stumbling blocks along the way. And like I said, and we've been hearing it through the presentation, I think COVID-19 and what we would have experienced with the lockdowns, whereas many people may see it as a setback, a drawback, perhaps this was the great reset that we needed to take another look at life, to really put things into perspective and see how, as a society, as a people, as individuals, we can dig deeper to really appreciate who we are at every step of the journey. So, and of course, Andrew would have wrapped up everything nicely for this evening. So, I really want to thank you all for taking the time out this evening to be part of this self love story. I also wanted to share that we are at GPA preparing to launch the OPAL code. That's OPAL. This is an opportunity for coaching of individuals. So you will be hearing from many of our speakers again. You'll be hearing from other resource persons like myself. I will be presenting on leadership, career, and leading from within. So we encourage you to stay tuned and also look forward to those updates, as we will want to encourage you to register and to keep abreast with what GPA Inc. is doing and some of what we're looking to achieve this year. So this self-love story is chapter 1, and we are hoping that throughout the year you can continue to join us on this journey. I want to close by thanking you for your patience, thanking you for really tapping into the resources that we presented to you this evening. And I want to thank our speakers for taking the time out to share such advice and value with us today. Ms. Jennifer Pascal, always so appreciative of the work that you're doing with GPA Inc. Thank you for starting this project, and we encourage you to continue to support Jennifer on her journey as she seeks to create a mindset shift in St. Lucia, the region, and beyond. So thank you all once again. Have a fantastic week, and we're wishing you great success in the year 2022.